the most terrifying fear that you can have in all of existence. This is the fear of plunging into nirvikalpa samadhi, or plunging into the oblivion of non-duality. Now, the reason why this is the most terrifying fear that you can have is because you're literally giving up the ego. This doesn't sound that bad, but just imagine that you've lived all of these lifetimes holding on to something that you believed yourself to be. You've always held it. Even when incarnating in this body or dying physically, you still held on to the ego. The ego was never let go of. When there's death of the physical body, you still hold on to your ego because your awareness still remains and transitions into a different layer of reality. But when we say this awareness is aware of a subtle body. It's not pure awareness just yet. And so it's just a constant travel of experiencing your subtle body and experiencing your physical body. It's an endless loop until you break that cycle. So even this fear of dying physically is like a child's game compared to plunging into nirvikalpa samadhi or the oblivion of non-duality. Because at least you're still holding on to the ego when you die. So you see, you have to conquer this fear of dying physically before you could eventually conquer the fear of plunging into your own natural state. We've been so comforted in sustaining the existence of the ego that we don't want to let it go. This is why many people have trouble embracing higher truths. It's like taking psychedelics and not being able to accept those higher truths. Not being able to accept something deeper, something much more profound, something that you can't handle because you're not ready yet. Well, just imagine if you're willing to let go of the ego and completely dissolve it. Think about that type of fear that you must conquer in order to make the great leap of faith and plunge into non-duality. Because right before the ego dissolves, there is a threshold, there is a breaking point. For anyone who's plunged into non-duality, they know that there is this breaking point. If you're not speaking of a breaking point, then you haven't been there. It's only once you're there you realize the truth. Otherwise, it's just intellectual wordplay. Right before you see this threshold, you have to make a conscious decision to let go of the ego. The reason why it's so terrifying is because you don't really know what's going to happen once you make that leap. Because you're no longer in control. Well, in order to make this leap of faith, you have to give up security. You have to give up control. So you're literally surrendering yourself to God. And because God is so unlimited, infinite, and powerful, some people can't handle that. And so it takes a lot of practice to eventually conquer that last fear. The most terrifying fear of dissolving your ego completely and plunging into the infinite, dense stillness of who it is that you truly are. If you can conquer that fear, that is enlightenment.